Good morning, everybody. It is May 10th, 2017, and we are going to jump right in with our daily stuff. Like normal, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to help you out. If not, we'll be working on something else. I am not going to be working on the live stream MMO right now. Had a request a while ago to try to work on a fire propagation system. Basically, you can set stuff on fire and it will burn other stuff. I don't really know exactly how to do it. We have a really nice article from the guy who worked on the Far Cry 2 fire system, and he explains it. I understand the basics. It's just the fact this works in a math. It's math, so I have issues with math, and well, I don't know how well it's going to work. So I'm going to try to fake it as best as I can, see if we can come up with some sort of a basic system and go from there. So that is the plan for today, of course, besides helping out people as they ask questions. So let's see if we can get started. So my thought process, well, let's go with the documentation itself. Basically, with the way the documentation works is once something catches on fire, it creates a virtual grid, basically. You can see it here. And that grid maps out an area with life. So they basically call it hit points, or how much life or health that grid has. And that determines how much something is caught on fire, as well as how long something goes on fire. And that's the basic way they do it. Now, I'm really bad at math and grid systems and stuff like that. So as much as I'd like to do it like this, I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'm going to see if I can make it where it's less of a grid system and more of a independent fire emitter system, a fire cell or something like that. I don't really know. I'll have to figure this out. Raphael. Trying to do data visualization, tried the instant stack mesh, but going over 10,000 elements keeps getting very laggy. It's possible it's a limitation of your hardware and the system. Let's see. ISM limits. There may be an actual limit to the amount of actual meshes you can push. Max meshes. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever done a test on that, but I mean, 10,000 is a pretty good chunk. It may unfortunately not be enough for you. Yeah, but I don't really have an answer. Yeah, there's no real good information about instant stack expansion. I know someone did a an asteroid demo for instant stack meshes. Yeah, this is the one I was looking at, but I don't remember if he covers how many he actually has. Yeah, I mean, but this is his example here. And I don't know how many he has. I mean, it's a decent chunk of them, but I mean, it could be under 10,000. But you can see he's keeping 120 frames steady still through the entire thing. This is, and he's got an asset example here. So there's the asset files for the tutorials. So maybe you could look into this, see how he has it set up. Maybe he's doing something slightly different than you are, and that might help. What I looked for was UE4 demo instant stack meshes. Again, I don't know why I keep not just putting the link in the chat. Here's the link in chat. He's one of the first people I've seen who've worked on big, tons of projects using instant stack meshes. Maybe look into that'll help. That's about it. Pretty sure this would be easy to do using overlap events for the fire propagation. That was my thought. My thought is to do the overlap events. And I have a feeling it is going to be heavy, but I think I'm going to start with that and just see what happens. You could do this using the foliage tool. On hit by a fire BP, convert the foliage into a BP foliage, then spawns a fire. Easy, no math. That's the thought, but with the way this is set up for the grid system, it's meant to be large is the key. Because let's say you have grass, so that's actually a good thing. So let's just do a new level, and let's see if we can do it. Yeah, because we're gonna have to do something. We don't really need that big of a terrain, so something like that. So let's give ourselves a terrain, which I don't have a material, so I probably should have done some form of material here. Do I have any landscape material? This is a brand new project. I don't know, grass looks fine to me. There we go. And let me turn my lighting on to movable. Okay. So if we were to do foliage, for example, I don't think there's any, I have no foliage set up. So let's do a default foliage. Yeah, this is all the starter content, and yeah, there's no grass, but I can still use wall lamps. Those are close enough. They look like grass to me. There we go. And we can, let's see, paint. There we go. So like here is, let's say this is grass. So this is our grass. With the way there's a bunch of grass. We'll go with that. There's our grass. That looks good enough for grass. With the way the grid system's set up, you've got to keep in mind, let's say we set this one on fire here, this one individual one, and we replaced it with a blueprint, and then we set that one on fire. That's good. But the problem is, if you have an area that's on fire, it's going to, let's say we have this area on fire right here. That's talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's upwards of 10 blueprints that'll individually be on fire. With the way the grid system works is basically it would do a chunk. So you'd actually have one chunk right here that would be on fire with one particle emitter. And then that particle emitter could talk to everything that's around it and tell it to, use a material effect to be on fire and such. So you have one item actually on fire rather than 10 items. So that's kind of why they do it in the grid-based system. And I agree with that, and I think that would work. I think your idea with the individual items would work great, but I'd be worried about performance. Because imagine if every single one of these items here was on fire and they all had their own individual particle effect. That's why they don't do that. So that's kind of where the problem comes in. So I don't think that's going to work in terms of that. I was my first idea as well. So the way it should work is, let's say I set this one on fire right here. It would create a fire grid. So, a 10 by 10 patch, for example, 10, let's say it's a 10 by 10 patch. So it would create a 10 by 10 square, spawn in our fire effect, our particle, and then that particle would grow and die based on the hit points of this patch. And it could talk to everything in this area and tell it, for example, to adjust its stack, the material that it's on fire and such. But you're only going to have one particle. And then by the grid system is this would be like our center grid, and then it would spawn grids around it with hit points as well, because that fire could propagate over time to the other things, and it would just continue on until it puts out. The problem is, because I'm so bad with math, I don't know how to do a dynamic grid system like that. So I think we're going to try the really crappy version, and I'm not saying your idea was crappy, it's just I think it's crappy. I think we're going to try the crappy version with the meshes and then go from there. Yeah, I could use the same method, but only allow it to spawn one for grid point, but I don't know how to manage the grid point. If I knew how to manage a grid point, it wouldn't be an issue. I could make a grid, I could probably define a grid and make it. It's just the managing part that's always an issue for me. It requires math and knowing what's around you and casting stuff. I think we'll try it. So we'll see what happens. Ben has a question, fairly new to Unreal, trying to make a door that opens after you shoot. 3 targets. Any idea how this is done in Blueprints? A couple of people had some answers. Function calls using a variable for the number of blocks shot. So Ben, I'm already in here. Let me open up my playground. The basic answer, well, there's no basic answer. There's no one way of doing it. You have multiple ways of doing that. You could think of your door as having keys. So let's say, for example, you needed a key to open the door. Well, somewhere you keep track of that key, if the player has the key, and things like that. So we technically had an example in here somewhere, which I don't. Oh, cool! I can probably steal my bush from here too for the landscape. I did a couple different. Okay, so we'll make this really simple. We'll do a new level. I didn't mean to do new level. I meant to do new folder. Open door from targets. We'll call it that. And we are just going to really simply make a new class BP, and this is our locked door. We're just going to call it a locked door. It'll make it easier. We'll open up our locked door. We're going to find a static mesh. And I know there's a door in here somewhere. So here is the door. So there we go. We have a door. I don't think this is going to open properly because of the fact I don't have a root. So let me add a root to it. Because I'm going to want to rotate this. There we go. So now I can actually rotate the door properly. Because we're going to want to do... Can I please? There we go. We're going to want to do that. Okay. So we'll worry about that in a second. But we have a door. Somehow we need to know either when we have the targets destroyed or we need the targets to tell the door they've been destroyed. One of two things. Either one works. So the general question here is how you would want to do it. So we know that we need a door and we know that we need a target. So let me save this map. Open door map. Okay. Let's make a new blueprint and we'll call this one target. And we'll make it look like a target. So we'll just flatten a sphere is what we'll do. So we'll flatten the sphere on the X like that. There we go. So that's going to be our target. Now let's say our door is here. So we'll move our door to like this. And we'll just put a target here. And we'll put a target here. It doesn't really matter how many. Okay, you said 3. So we'll go ahead and we'll do 3. And we'll do another target here like this. So we'll go ahead and do 3 targets like that. Our biggest issue we're going to run to right now is I don't know if I have the FPS game mode set up. So give me a second. Where's my first person? Please tell me I have first person. I do have a first person character. Hopefully it's the one that can shoot. We don't know because this was originally a third person project. Okay, let's see. Okay, cool. I do have the ability to shoot. It's not actually shooting any projectiles because I didn't bring the projectile over, but I do have the ability to shoot. That's what I was checking. Let me find where he's at. I think I need to fix him. Give me a second. Okay, here's a first person character. And here's where he shoots. And then this should be line trace. I think he's just a line trace right now. Let me check. Oops, this should be for duration. Okay, yeah. So he's just a line trace right now, which is perfectly fine for our example. As long as we've got some way of shooting, we can actually check. Arnav, I will get to you in a second. Give me a second. So there's multiple ways of setting this up. Again, we can have the targets talk to the door and say, hey, this target's been shot. Or we could have the door check to see if the target's been shot, or we could store something on the player or the controller or the game mode. There's lots of ways of doing this. Trying to think of which way would be the most dynamic. So I'm going to pretend we're doing this for our game designers, and we're going to try to make this dynamic. So I'm going to have the door check to see if it should open based on the targets. And let me double check this. Door that opens. Okay, so this is trying to make the door that opens after you shoot 3 targets. Okay, so that's slightly different because we're going to basically want the targets to talk to the door. And then the door is going to need to know how many targets have been shot. It's going to need to make sure it's the right number of targets that have been shot. And it's going to need to make sure all of the targets have been shot. So the targets are going to have to communicate to the door. It's going to have to tell it it was shot. The door is going to have to keep track of it. See, I would use a map to do this. Well, I'm gonna do this a really silly way, and then we will go from there. I'm gonna do this a super silly way. Is what I'm gonna do because this one sounds like it would be more fun, and it'll make it super easy. So we have here's our first person character, and our character. This is what determines what we're shooting right here. So we fire off our line trace, or we fire off the bullet. When something hits, we need to tell the target that it was hit by our bullets, because that is your general question here after you shoot 3 targets. So we're going to go to our targets. Actually, we're going to go into our folder, and we're going to use interfaces because this is the easiest way of doing this. So we're going to make a blueprint interface target. This is going to be the interface on the target, and then we're going to make a blueprint interface for the locked door. So this will allow us to easily talk back and forth to our targets and easily identify our targets. Let's go into our targets. Let's go into our settings, and we'll tell them it implements the target interface. I hope I only had one of those. Did I have one of those? I only had one of them, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So that means we can identify this target basically by using the interface of target. That's our first key here. So when we shoot something, this is all stuff we don't need. This is all stuff from shooting a bullet, which we're not going to deal with. We're just doing the line trace. We're going to do a hit actor, implement interface, and target. And what this is going to say is, if we hit something, and first of all, we need another if here. I don't know why the default doesn't have that. Or I might have deleted it. That's probably possible. There we go. So first of all, we're going to make sure we hit something. Second of all, we're going to check and see if what we hit implements the target interface. And if it does, then we're going to tell it it was hit. That's the easiest way of doing it. So we're going to grab this. So find our target interface right here. And then we'll do was hit. And it's really simple. Just was hit. Go back into here and tell it was hit. So we're just going to simply send a message to the target that we hit, and only the target, because only the targets will have this, that it was hit. So if we go back into our target and we compile and save it, we can make a custom event called was hit, and it will be right here because it needs to be added. And since we're using an interface, it's going to have the little message icon that's saying, hey, someone told me I was hit. So if we print string, this should allow us to shoot our targets, and it should print out was hit. Now, we have an issue here. You'll notice that when we shoot the door, it's hitting the door. When we shoot our targets, it's not hitting the targets. So that means our targets are not responding to our shooting. So we need to find our targets. And we need to figure out what their collision is. And they are set to block all dynamic, world dynamic. But they might not have a collision volume on them. Let's find out. Let's set them to block all. Wait, block all dynamic. Yeah, block all. Okay, let's try block all and see what happens. Okay, yeah. So we have really, but we don't have the collision set up properly on our sphere. So we just need to figure out why. So let's go back to our first-person character. We are shooting on the visibility channel, so we should be good there. So this shouldn't be an issue, except for the fact our targets are not set up. Now, by default, I'm guessing our spheres right here don't have collision. But they do. Yeah, they have collision. So that's not it. Okay. Let's not make this flat and see if that's causing an issue. Basically, this should be working. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it was the flatness. See how they say hello now when I shoot them? You can see they say hello. Yeah, I flattened out our target, and apparently it was just going through it was our issue. So let's make our target a little bit thicker then. We'll make it 0.2. Okay, targets are a little thicker now. And, of course, they are not responding. Seriously? Okay, that one is working if we hit the middle. Okay, so hitting the tops of these is not working. But hitting dead center is working. Okay, so scaling our sphere causes an issue with our collision. That is super duper. Huh. Well, the nice thing is we can easily fix this. In theory, no, actually we can't, can we? Now I'm super duper confused. I'm gonna admit this right now. Our collision on our sphere should be the full thing. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The scaling is affecting the collision, which is super weird. It's not what I would have expected. Yeah, I can make the sphere the root. That I doubt it'll change it, but let's find out. Yeah, see, it still doesn't change it. We have to hit dead center, and even that actually, this one hit the top. Yeah, so no, it's not that. It is, Now keep in mind, we're having an issue because we're trying to do something wrong. This is something to keep in mind. We aren't actually taking a static mesh. We're actually taking a sphere, a pre-constructed object. In a real game, you're probably going to be using an actual static mesh, an actual target you created that has real collision built into it. We're faking it by making a sphere and flattening a sphere. So let me try a cube, because a cube will probably react better being flattened. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go. See, so the cube works like we expected it. So we'll just use the cube. Might be a bug with the system. We don't really know, but it's working. That's what counts. We swapped our targets over to a cube. So we have a cube now. In a real game, you're actually going to have a stacked mesh with the real properties, so that wouldn't be an issue. So our target has an event that knows if it's hit. So this one's pretty simple. So when it gets hit, we're going to have it notify the door that it was hit. And then the door is going to keep track of everybody who was hit. Like I said, this is going to be really silly, but this allows you to dynamically determine what does what. So let me show you that here in a second after I beat my kitty cat up. Okay. We need somehow to have this target know about our door. Let's assume you're making a real game and we want our designer not to be locked in anything. So we're going to have our targets keep track of which door they're supposed to open, is what we're going to do. So the targets can register with the door when they start up, and then they can talk to that door, because each target will be tied to a door. And of course, you could expand this to maybe multiple doors. That's different. For now, we're just going to do a one-on-one relationship. So we'll add a new variable, and we'll do target door. And this is going to be of type closed door. Closed door. Locked door. There we go. I know I called it something. So this is our blueprint for the locked door. So this is going to be a reference to that door. Now we want to make it editable. And what that's going to do is once we go to our map, now every one of our targets will have a spot for a door if we click right here. So we can tell it, yeah, that's that door, and that's that door. So now these targets know about the door that they're supposed to open. Now the door doesn't know about the targets, but the targets know about the door. And that's what counts. Let's go back to our interface. So let's find our open door targets. And here is our interface for the locked door. So this is anything he wants to talk to the locked door, we'll call this. We'll do target was hit is what we'll call it. And we're going to put an input in here, and we're going to have it a target input. And it's going to be of type blueprint target. So this is going to pass in the actual target that was hit. So if we go back to our target now, and when it was hit, we will go Mr. Door. A target was hit. So I'm going to pass you a message that a target was hit, and I'm going to pass myself in because I was the one who was hit. So in this case now, whenever a target's hit, it's going to talk to its associated door and say, hey, I was hit. Now we can go back to the locked door. Locked door needs to implement the door interface, save and compile. And then we had the target was hit. Event target was hit, and this is the one with the interface. It's going to tell us who was hit. Now, like I said, this is where it's going to be the really cheesy, bad way of doing it, but it could be fun. So, hit targets. Yeah, we'll call it hit targets. And this will be, of type target. And we're going to turn this into an array. So this is going to keep track of every single target that was hit. For this door was being told about every single target that was hit. And so we're going to get it. We're going to add unique. Or we're going to add in the ones that were hit. Simple as that. So every time this gets called, the target's going to go say, hey, I was hit. And then the array we keep on the door is going to add that target to it. So at this point in time, if we have a way of knowing which targets activate this door, we could easily check. So now we need to know how, we need to know which targets. So this is kind of where an issue comes into play. How do we let the door know which targets are activated? Which targets activate it? The targets could tell the door, and then we could keep track of it. Or the door could keep track of maybe the total number, because keep in mind we are adding unique. So that might be the easiest, laziest way of doing it. That's what I'm thinking of doing. We're going to do a super simple, lazy way. Total, let's see, num targets to open. We're going to turn this back into a single variable, and we're going to turn this into an integer. And then we are going to call a custom, let's go back to our interface. So we're going to have one called register target with door. Really simple, register target with door. And we're going to go ahead and close that. We'll go back to our door. We'll make register, compile. Register. Like I said, this is going to be really silly, but I just feel like doing it because of this. And we're going to get this, and we're going to increment. Now, you know what? I'll just do add. Add an integer, add one, set. Now, again, I wasn't joking about how silly this was going to be. There we go. So what we're going to do is whenever the targets turn themselves on, they're going to talk to the door that they are associated with and register themselves. And all they're going to do when they register is just say, call this event, and we're just going to add one to our total. So it's going to start off with 0, and if we have 3 targets, our number of targets to open is going to be 3. So we can really, again, really silly and easily check get the length. So this will tell us how many targets are in our array, and we'll check and see if this is greater than or equal, just for sanity's sake. Usually you try not to do just greater than or less than, because sometimes, you know, weird things happen. So we'll check and see if it's greater than or equal to the number of targets needed to open. So this is basically going to, something was hit, add it to our list. Add unique means it's only going to be added once. So if you hit the same target 10 times, it's still only going to be on our list once. Check and see how many we've hit total. If it's more or equal to the number we need to open up the door, then we'll open up the door. So we'll code the door opening event right here. So we can just do a print string for now. Print string, and actually, we can put a little bit of debug in here too. I'll do the door open, and we'll copy this and paste it. And what we'll do here is we will grab get number of targets to open, get the length right here. So this is how many we need to hit, how many we have hit. So how many do we need to hit? We'll subtract the number that we have hit, and then we'll just simply output, if we haven't opened the door, how many are left. So we have a little bit of a debug here. We'll erase this later, but this is just for debugging purposes, so we can actually make sure our stuff works. Now right now it's not going to work because we never call this. None of our targets ever register with our door. So we'll just go back to our target, grab the target door, register target with door, and we just need to call this at some point. Now this is where I said it's going to be kind of weird, lazy, and silly. We don't know the order of operations that our game is going to load up into. We don't know if the door is even going to exist, for example, when the game starts up. We don't know anything. So we don't want to register with our door if our door doesn't exist yet, because it's possible our targets will spawn in before the door. Because you never know, even if it's by 1 frame. There's lots of different ways we could do this. The simplest way, again, really silly and stupid, is just do on the begin play a delay. And we'll delay for 2 seconds. And that means that after 2 seconds, our targets will register themselves. This is a really simple way, an easy way of doing it. A better way might be to, on begin play, maybe delay half a second and try to register with the door. If the door is not valid, for example, or it doesn't exist yet, then you could always have it wait another half second and basically loop around till it successfully registers. But for now, I think this is the easy, lazy way. Again, we're just trying to do something simple. So after 2 seconds, all of these should register, and I should get numbers. So now you can see I need 2 more to open. I need 1 more to open. Door open. And now if we go to our door, we can add in our little event to open the door. And this will just be a timeline. I just feel like finishing this out. Okay, that would be me deleting the timeline. Play from start. And then let's see. This is our door, right? Yeah, let's name this door. And then we're going to rotate it on the Z, and we're going to rotate it to -120 is what we're going to do. So we're going to grab our door, set local rotation, set relative rotation. There we go. And we're going to set this between, we're going to do a lerp rotator. And it's going to lerp between what it currently is and -120. And then grab our timeline, add a new float track, 0 to 1, add 2 keys, 0 and 0, and we'll open the door after 2 seconds, 2 and 1. So this means basically it's going to go, this is definitely not a 0. It's going to start off in the closed position and then end up in the open position after 2 seconds by feeding that into here. So if I did this right, the door should open properly. Let's see. Bang, bang. Okay. Someone doesn't know how to do math. Oh, yeah, someone doesn't know how to wait 2 seconds is what it is. Now we have the proper amount. There we go. Bang, 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 and then the door should open. Now we have a bug where obviously if I keep firing, the door will keep triggering open. But it's not like it's not that hard, you know. Door open. You set a Boolean. Default it to false. Go ahead and set door open to true right here. And then right here, we just do an and Boolean. Move this back a little bit like this. Go into here, go into here. And this is basically going to make sure that not only have we hit the number of targets we wanted to, the door is not going to be open. So this basically flips our Boolean. So door open, not. And this should mean we should be able to open the door once. So we'll wait 2 seconds. Fire, fire, fire. Door should open. And no matter how many times more we fire, the door never opens again. And I was saying, yeah, feel free to ask questions. I will do my best to try to help out in the middle of the questions. So this was for Ben. So I will cover basically what I went over again and tell you, yeah, and for anything you did miss, this will be recorded, so that won't be an issue. But to summarize, again, I tried to make this really silly because we made it really silly, I could technically have now 2 more targets. And they are all connected to the door. So simply by adding more targets in, now if I wait my 2 seconds, for example, and I fire at the doors, you'll notice it shows 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I could very easily set things up dynamically. You could even have, for example, a door here and a door here. And then we could make it where this one right here is linked to this door. This one is linked to this door. This one linked to this door. This one linked to no door at all. And this one linked to the left door. Now if we hit play, I haven't done any error checking yet, which I should have done. Now in theory, if we hit this one and this one, well, nothing's going to happen. We hit that one, nothing's going to, there we go. That was the right one. We hit that one, that was the right one, and that door did nothing because it's not hooked to anything. So you could easily, and we have an error because again, I did not error check things. If we go to, oh, for love of Pete, where's it at? That's going to be probably the target. Our target, we register with the door, but this should technically be is valid right here. We should only ever try to register with the door if we actually have a target, like that. So that should get rid of the error. We'll get rid of that again. Wait 2 seconds. See, this one is a dummy. Nothing happens. This one and that one. Nope. This one and that one. Open up that door, and that one opens up that door. You know, and we can keep firing. We won't reopen doors, and we get no errors this time. And again, this will be on the stream. But that's why we did it the silly way, like that. We created it the silly way, so our designer just simply needs to create some targets, create some doors, hook them up together, and it works without us having to do anything else. Obviously, you should adjust things as needed. And to re-summarize the stuff we have set up, the target registers itself with the door as one of the targets that's needed. And then whenever the target is hit, it tells the door it was hit, and it passes itself. So that's all our target does. The door has a couple more complicated things, but its register with door simply increases the number of doors needed, number of targets needed to open. We did this really simple and lazy because it works. We don't need anything super fancy. And all we do when we get hit, whenever a target gets hit, it tells the door, hey, I was hit. So let's add ourselves to the list only once. We'll go ahead and check and make sure and see, have we hit enough targets? And is our door currently closed? So not open. If it is, we'll go ahead and just play our little timeline here and open the door. If not, I simply print out how many are left. And we're using interfaces to communicate generically because then we don't have to use casting and stuff like that. We can just talk back and forth really simple. Cheryl, I've not covered instant stack meshes. At this point in time, I probably will not be covering them, but I have not covered them. No, it's one of those things I have not looked into yet. Okay, now I know there was another question. Let's see. Question about blueprint interfaces. I want to have any HUD shared between multiple characters, which updates to match the information of each character once possessed. Assuming blueprint interfaces are needed, possibly. What is your definition of any HUD? And Mustang asked whether this game looks okay for an indie game as example to work upon and get a public perspective. I mean, you can ask. We don't have any links to your game, so there's really not much we can do on that one, Mustang. Daniel, create a simple widget which is only a faded screen and text box with the text paused, but I want that widget to appear when P is pressed in the game. Okay. So that's not too hard. 8 shots trying to help him with that one. Create the widget, set the visibility. Okay. Do you know how you can show me how to do a side jump? E.g. Mario side jump. What is a side jump? Game. Yeah, Daniel's asking simple widget, pause, and he wants the widget to appear when P is pressed in the game. Okay, so have you set up any input? I mean, we have, like, for example, our third person character here. If you want P, then you'd have P as an input. Technically, you shouldn't be doing this, but you can anyways. But you have P right here, and P, when you push P, can do whatever you want. And then, like they mentioned, you basically you press P, creates a widget, puts So I mean, this is the basics of UMG and getting stuff on the screen and stuff like that. I mean, you're gonna have a hard time actually getting it. You're gonna have more hard of a time getting it off the screen than onto the screen because of the way that widgets handle input. So that's actually a big issue. I actually have Actually, I'm gonna link you this. This is probably the easiest thing to do, Daniel. Let me link you to the video I already have set up for this. Yeah, it's the easiest way of doing this. Pause. I actually have a video I created for a game jam, tips and tricks series, and it's called Simple Pause Menu, and it literally allows you to create a simple pause menu. This is what I would recommend watching and seeing if you're still stuck after that. That is a complete walkthrough of how to create a simple pause menu that you can use your key to bring up and close. Yeah, that's probably the easiest one for you, Daniel. Yeah, unfortunately, instant stack meshes I have not covered at all. I know there was another. Oh yeah, so yeah, so Arnev's question was he wants to have a HUD shared between multiple characters, which updates to match the information of each character when it's possessed. So my question on that one is, do you have a single HUD or do you have multiple HUDs? That's my first question. And then what do you mean by a HUD? Are you using the actual HUD class or are you using like a UMG widget? Okay, you meant one HUD. Sorry, typo. Okay. And you want that HUD, so let's assume it's a UMG widget HUD. And you want it shared by each shared between multiple characters. That shouldn't be an issue because of the fact that where's my playground? Yeah, that shouldn't be an issue at all. Yeah, I mean that shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't need to use interfaces or any of that stuff. No, I mean, so okay. The HUD itself is just a. I'm assuming it's a UMG HUD. I'm assuming we're using the UMG widget to do this. So let's see if I've got something in here already. Yeah, this is the one. Which one's this one? I don't remember which one this one is. Trying to figure out. Let's see. Spawn, create widget, add to viewport, player user interface. Yeah, so this is the one where I create a generic interface right here. Try to close this stuff up. Yeah, player UI, and then character settings right there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, single HUD. It can trying to get the. I'm having trouble getting the widget to recognize which character is currently possessed and retrieving. Okay, so you're actually doing that backwards, Arnav. That's probably where your issue is coming from. You should not be having the widget recognize the character and get the information. You should have the character give the information to the HUD. The character is the one that controls the information. The HUD should be treated as simply a book that displays information, or a HUD. It's a heads-up display. It shows information. The HUD shouldn't be responsible for actually doing anything other than showing stuff or visually representing the information. Your characters should talk to that HUD and then tell it what the correct ammo is, or the correct whatever information, health, anything like that. That's an issue. That's probably one of the primary issues here. So let's see. I actually have a swapping one here. Give me a second. Let's see if we can find where it's at. Did I call it swap? Here we go. Swap characters. Oops, that's the game mode, not the actual. Okay, so I have this map right here. And this has got my default character. It's got a green character, and we've got, I should have had a red character. I think it's doing random is what it's doing. I can't remember. Well, anyways, I can swap characters right here. And each of these characters can have a user interface. So, for example, widget blueprint. Let's go with the player. Let's just call this the player UI. And our player UI will have, we're just going to go with 2 text blocks. And we'll go with name text block. And we'll go with health text block, like that. Okay. And inside of my user interface, because this is the user interface that everyone's going to have, then I could have some events in here. So I could have, for example, custom event, update name. And I could have another one called custom event, update health. And update name is simply going to take the name, set the text, and it's going to set it to whatever I want. And update health is going to do the same thing. So we'll grab the health text block, set text, and we'll have it update whatever we want. Now we get that from our player. So we'll make sure that this has an input called new name. And we're going to pass in a string. And our health is going to have the same thing. This will be new health. And we'll pass in a string as well. No, you're not going to pass an integer. I'll do all the conversion in integer. Thank you. I'll do all the conversion in here, because that's just simply going bloop like that and bloop like that. Let it do all the conversion. So there we go. Oops, move this over here, move this down here. There we go. So whenever I call these things, it's going to go ahead and it's going to do whatever I tell it to. Update the name or update the health. So inside of my character, now here's where your issue is going. Here's where an issue is going to come into play. Hopefully you understand the basics of actually swapping characters. The controller is the interface between the player at the keyboard and the character it's controlling. So I am a controller. I have a controller when I play the game. And I can be possessing, in this case, character 2, character default, or character 1. But the controller is going to be persistent because it's the guy behind the keyboard. So in my controller is going to handle my interface events. It's not going to care too much about the individual things in there. For example, which character is being possessed and things like that. The controller itself is just going to handle, it's going to keep track of the interface itself. So on my controller, I'm going to do begin play. And my controller, this is my controller, it's called swap character. It's going to create a widget, and we're going to create that user interface. So player UI, which of course I have more than one of them. So let's rename this one to swap player UI. Okay, go back to here, swap. There we go. So this will create the interface. So it's just created. We'll make it into a variable because we want to keep track of it. So this will be our player UI, and then we'll add it to the viewport. So now we have this actually in there. So our controller is now controlling the user interface. Now when our characters are spawned in, so let's go ahead and go with our default character here. And they have possess and unpossess events. And I don't think I have these hooked up yet. No, okay. Nope, okay, cool. So we're going to do the possess event. So let's go and override possess. And this is going to happen when the controller starts controlling this character, it calls the possessed event. So when that happens, now we can update our user interface. So we can, here's our controller. We'll cast that to our swap controller. And then we're going to go ahead and now we can tell our user interface to do stuff. So we'll get our player UI, because remember our controller keeps track of our player UI. We have that right here. We made our variable for it. And then we can tell it to do update name. And my default character is going to have a name of Bobzilla. And update health. And it's going to have an updated health of, I don't know, we'll call it Bobzilla Strong. He's got 1,000 health. So if I did this right, when it starts up, it should have shown stuff. Now it didn't, so we need to figure out why. So let's figure this out. Whoops, can I have my error? Can I please have my message log working properly? Thank you. Let's see. Trying to read property player UI from function. Access none, trying to read property player. Seriously? So this is basically saying that player UI does not exist. And I have a feeling I know why. I'm going to try something here. This is one of those things where you can't quite guarantee the order that stuff starts in. Yeah, there we go. So that one I kind of had a feeling was the issue. Okay. The controller itself spawns in. The controller fires off its possessed event before it even begins play. It possesses the character. This event gets called. Once this event gets called, it tries to contact the player controller and talk to the user interface. At that point, the user interface still isn't created because it's kind of like the order of operations. So we have a small bit of an issue there. You can see you can easily fix that. You could do something like you put in a small delay and it'll work fine. You can work around it, but basically it's only going to be an issue for like the first time. But this is the event that's inside of our default character. We can take this, for example, and we can go into our green dude. Here's our swap character 2, and put it in there. And our green dude is Duder, and he's got like no health. He's got 10 health. Now, if this is set up properly, and I don't know if it is, we'll find out. Our gray guy shows his interface, and our green guy shows his interface. And this is the same green guy, because apparently I didn't fix it, so the red ones, I don't think the red one spawns in properly over here. Let's see, swap trigger 2. Swap character 2. Yeah, swap character 2. I think he should be, wait, where's he at? Swap trigger 2, swap trigger. Oh yeah, I never exposed these, is what I never exposed them as. Let's see. I'm just browsing through stuff right now. Swap character 2. Okay, so what I needed to do was... I'm just trying to fix a small bug in this original one. Where's my stupid blueprint to swap? Here we go. We want this to be a variable. And we want the variable to be exposed. And this will be car to spawn. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Now I should be able to adjust which ones spawn. Can I please click that? There we go. Character 2 spawns over there. Can I please click that one? Click, click. And then character 1 should spawn. Oh, that's swap controller. We want to swap character. There we go. There we go. Oops. Okay. And apparently I complete... Wow, what did I do to my user interface? Did I zoom in somehow? That's kind of cool. Ooh, look at that. Someone did something to his project. Let's save this out. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Does that mean every time I want to update information, I need to cast to the player controller? So, what this means is somewhere in the game, you need to keep track of your interface. Whether you need to cast it to the player controller or you put it somewhere else that's easier, like the HUD itself, because there is an actual HUD class, is up to you. I just went with the player controller because the player controller is the easiest. Yeah, Wow, I literally have no idea what I did to this project. That's kind of cool. I've never broken one this badly before. But yes, for my example in here, my player controller, because that's what will be persistent no matter what, for any of the characters I control, it has that player UI. That is correct. Now, if you want to make it where you didn't have to cast, there's nothing stopping you from making functions that took care of these things for you automatically. So, for example, we have update name here. There's no reason you wouldn't have a function in here that took care of this stuff ahead of time. You could always, for example, if you plan on reusing this, there's nothing stopping you from storing that as a variable. So we grab the player UI, we cast it to the player swap UI. Whoops, I didn't mean to cast. Promote to variable is what I meant to do. There we go. And then we call this one the player UI. So now we can unhook all of these. And then now we have a player UI variable. So now you don't need to do casting anymore. We've already done it. We've already grabbed the controller, already cast it, already grabbed the player UI variable itself, and stored the player UI variable. So now you could just simply call update health or update name just like that, because we've already stored this in another variable. We have a reference to it. And you can see it's actually working now that we're in something else. Sort of. I've definitely done something wrong here. I gotta admit, that's pretty cool. I literally have no idea what I did. And when I click the mouse, it blacks the screen. I've never seen this error before. Where's my player? I gotta admit, that's really cool. I literally have no idea what I did. But no, you would not have to cast. You could just do that. And you might want to make, you could always do convenience functions, for example. You could have your controller be responsible for updating the UI. So in your controller, you could have a new event in here called, you know, update name on UI. And it takes in the information and automatically does all the passing over to the UI. You could have that happen. Another option is the HUD itself, which is an actual class. So if we typed in HUD and did this, and we could do like swap HUD. The HUD itself is a class on the game mode right here. So you could have your own HUD that you use as a reference, and then you could have it hold all the code, creating, destroying, and all that stuff like that. That is something I do, for example, because the HUD you can get from anywhere. You just get the player controller, and then you get the HUD. And that will get you access to the HUD from anywhere, for example. You could use interfaces if you don't want to do casting. There's lots of ways of doing that. But for user interfaces, for the most part, you only really want to push the data to the interface and have the interface display whatever you push to it. That's the more efficient way of doing that. The HUD is persistent. The HUD is created. Everything in here is persistent to the level. So you'll have one controller that spawns in, you'll have one HUD that spawned in, you'll have one game state, one player state, one spectator. Well, technically the spectator class and the default pawn class, these are just your defaults. These aren't actually spawned in unless the game requires it. Like, for example, if we didn't have a player start, we wouldn't get a default pawn class. It wouldn't spawn in. But yeah, the HUD, the controller, the game state, and the player state are all things that are persistent if you swap characters. The character itself is not persistent, obviously, because if you swap characters, then any information is on the old character. Let's see. Is it left over from when you were doing the pause screen? Sorry, haven't been paying attention. No, this is for swapping HUDs when you swap characters. Keep in mind, this is just the easiest way if you want to have one HUD that displays different information. Depending on how you've actually designed your game, you could even then just simply tie the UI to the character, like the old Aliens versus Predator games. That would be a good example of having completely different HUDs, because the Marine HUD looked different than the Predators and the Aliens. They all had different things. So that one you'd probably tie to the actual character itself. So when you possess the Alien, it looks like the Alien HUD. You possess the Marine, it looks like the Marine HUD. If you want the HUD to look the same, though, then yeah, you'd want something else to control the HUD and everything to pass through. Oh, I have no idea about the black screen error. It literally just started. It technically started when I was doing when I swapped this out, which makes 0 sense to me on why it would be doing that. Oh, see, it's still doing it. Oh, yeah, nope, thank you. I think, man, I think you're right. It has to do with there's something in here for the left mouse button. Here we go. That's right. I forgot about that. No, I had a player selection menu I set up in here for character selection, but it was set up where when you push the left mouse button, it calls it up. I forgot it was in there. No, yeah, the left mouse button destroys the player. I totally forgot about that. Yep. Okay, so yeah, that should hopefully help with that one. I don't think there were any other questions. Okay. So game creators has asked me to look up a side somersault. I literally have no idea, and if it has to do with animation, there's no way I can do it. Side somersault. I mean, Mario side somersault. Somersault. Apparently, it's called that. Okay, so what is side somersault? Yeah, that's an animation. That is an animation. There's nothing I can do to help you with that one. That's simply doing a jump, a directional jump, and then playing an animation. And there's nothing I can do on that one. I'm sorry. Have you played with procedural stuff at all? I have barely touched procedural stuff. I found out that I'm horrible at procedural stuff, so I didn't touch it again. Place to recommend start researching the Unreal Engine forums. I know there's a lot of people in the forums themselves trying to learn procedural. I don't think there's anything I could do to help on that one. Yeah, procedural stuff it's math. Procedural stuff is math, and that's the issue I run into, unfortunately. Yeah. I wish I could help more on that one. So crap. So we have instance foliage, but I have no idea how you get anything inside of instance foliage. Like, how would you get the actual actor? Because there's no Oh, here we go. Collision presets. Okay, let me see if we can figure out something here. Where's my player start? Okay, apparently our ground has... Why does our terrain have no collision on it? Okay. Our ground does have collision, so why did I fall through the ground? Oh, because apparently I was in the ground. Okay. So we have collision set up on these things. So do they respond to hit events? Is the question. This is me literally trying to figure stuff up. I've never done this stuff before. This is the sucky thing. When you're using the default first person and not the other one, it fires off projectiles, which isn't what I want. I guess technically that would be fine. Okay, we can check on our projectile, see if it hits anything. Let's find out. Let's just neuter this. Okay, so yeah, it counts. Okay, so these things count as collisions when we hit stuff. Whoa, and then they also cause issues when balls are hitting lots of stuff. Okay, so we do technically have that, and we are hitting something. Landscape collision. Yeah, see, foliage instant mesh. So how do we... let's see, he's got a video here. Yeah, I was hoping not to watch anything, just because that takes the fun out of it. Yeah, I've seen this one before, actually. Yeah, I've seen this one before. Yeah, this is the one I watched. Yeah, this is kind of like what yeah, but see, the problem you'll notice is this is really not dense. Let's see, remove instance. Yeah, how would you get... Yeah, because yeah, this is basically what Arc and Conan and all that use. Conan does it really well. Okay, so how do we get the actual instance hit? Whoa, what did that say? Hit item. Okay, so hit item is an index. Okay, so which is, let's see, break. Okay, so here, let's get rid of... We don't need any of this stuff. This is all the old stuff. So event hit. We hit something. Hit item gives us the item, which is the instance. Okay, so... I mean, I don't really want to just copy his code, but I don't think we have a choice, do we? Yeah, that's pretty much basically it. Yeah, we're not worried about that. Basically, the goal here is we're gonna swap it out for a legitimate one, a legitimate blueprint that has actual code, rather than just an ISM. Cast to... Okay, so let's see. So the hit actor, we cast to an instance foliage. See, mine are instance foliage. Is that different? Oh, this is the actual component. Okay, you know what? Okay. Well, I don't think this is gonna work right, will it? Yeah, let's bear with me. Let's see what happens here. That's the fun part about debugging stuff. Nope, okay, nope, that works fine. Okay. Yep, so we're good. And then as an instance stack mesh component, we can get the instance. How do I get the individual instance? Right? Get instance oh, I get the transform? That gives me the item? Huh. See, I've never worked with these things before. This will give me the actual. This one gives me the one, so that gives me the actual one. This is what we use to spawn in the new one. But then, how do we delete the old one? Yep. If it's a tree, yep. We're gonna spawn in. Yep. So I don't have a problem with spawning, but how do we get the... Oh, remove instance. There we go. So it's called remove instance. That should be easy enough. So let's try... let's just try... Let's see what happens if we simply do this. Okay, yeah, that works. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, so that's how we get rid of stuff. So that's easy enough. So you do that after you spawn in the new one. We get the transform to spawn in the new one. So spawn actor from class. Here's the transform where we want to spawn it at. And then yes, I know that's wrong. We don't have, let's see, my content. So new blueprint, actor, blueprint, grass. Which of course obviously isn't grass because I don't have actual grass to put in here, which we don't care about. We care about, where's our lamp? There's a chair. Oh, there's a bush. Is there a bush? There's a bush. Where the hell did the bush come from? Seriously, where did the bush come from? Okay, well, we have a bush, so why don't we use the bush? Apparently, there's a bush in here, which I did not realize. Whoa, that's not how you save. Thank you. Okay, well, apparently we have a bush. Okay, go back into here. What do we call that? Grass, blueprint. Okay, so in theory, holy crap, this is really dense. If we shoot one of these, which there's no friggin' collision on the bush, is there? There is collision on, yeah, there's collision on the bush. Why did that not give me what I expected? Let's see. Let's see, what did we hit? That hit the landscape. Yeah, it went right past the... Ooh, I probably hit the landscape again, didn't it? Yeah, crap. Well, that doesn't help. Yeah, that's definitely not colliding. Oh, can it make it destructible like a rock? It could, in theory. Basically, all we're doing is grabbing our instances, spawning in a real item rather than just an instance mesh, and then it can do whatever we want. Set the collision to use complex as simple. We're talking about, I'm assuming we're talking about on here, or are we talking about the collision on our bullet? Because here's a hit event, and we're not getting a blocking hit. And the only thing I changed was the our actual item itself. I changed this from a thingy to this thing, and it's got collision. Oh no, never mind. It doesn't have collision. Never mind. No collision primitive. It does not. So that would probably help if we put in. Let's try this one. Because why not? This one I gotta make really stupid. Should probably not be using this type of collision. But why not? Of course, it would help if it actually did it and didn't decide to completely kill my... Yeah, we don't want... Yeah, we don't need 8 collision premises. Whoops. Yeah, let's not do that. You know what? I bet you we could get away with the sphere. What do you think? Think we can get away with the sphere? Yeah, probably not. Maybe a box. Well, this is the mesh inspector. I'm inspecting the mesh right now. Collision to use complex as simple. See, everyone always... Oh, here we go. Use complex collision as simple. Okay, let me get rid of the one I added. But I don't know if this... Oh yeah, obviously it works because I'm standing on top of the friggin' grass right now. Okay. Yeah, but do we really want... Yeah, see the... Yeah, it's... Crap. Now I can't go through the grass. Oh, I'm stuck. Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is... Do you really want to have complex collision in something like this? I mean, look at that collision. That is probably way... Yeah, I'll say that's probably way... Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna use just a simple... where'd my collision go? Will a capsule work? I think a capsule will work. Yeah, I know I said we were going to do crazy stuff, but I want to do something not as crazy. Collision. Can I not adjust the collision volume? I can, can't I? Really? Can I not make it smaller? Oh. Okay, well, yeah, then my brain would probably work better. There we go. Let's just try that. Okay, yeah. Same basic result. That's what we cared about. Because I don't think we really wanted to have it like that. Okay, so let me make sure this works and we get rid of stuff. Yeah, okay, cool. So we're deleting stuff. That's what counts. So let's go ahead and hook this back up and let's turn our BP grass and let's modify this so we can easily tell that this is our item. So we're going to just simply shrink this to really tiny, just for testing purposes. Oh, but that's not going to work because the fact is I have it spawning in at... Oops, that was not a 0.1. There we go. I'm just trying to make sure this is working. There we go. That's it. I was trying to make sure that it's actually working. So we are replacing our instant stack meshes with new meshes. You can see the tiny little things down there. That's what I was trying to check. There we go. Cool. Yes, I know. That was silly, but still wanted to test it. So the nice part is you technically can't tell that these things are all instant stack meshes, and then now some of them are not. Okay, cool. So let's assume when we shoot a bush, we are going to set it on fire. This is when things are going to get really stupid. Yeah, things should get really stupid at this point. Ah, it's all on fire! We're gonna die! No! Ah, and I can't get past the stupid things because they're taller than me. No! Okay. Let's see. Set timer by function name. Put out the fire. 4 seconds. Custom event. Put out the fire. We are going to promote this. Let's see, particle effect. And we're going to destroy. No, that won't work, right? This creates a particle. Oh, it does make a component. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I guess that'll work. Let's see if this simply works now, shall we? Okay, cool. That worked. Obviously, you'd want to do something a lot smarter than that, but that works is the key. And then destroy actor. Okay, so I mean, it's really, really silly, but it does work. We have no propagation working. So yeah, you can get a radius. You can destroy things in the radius. You could give them lifetime. The key here is to just get something. So you'd want something more like... let's see. So let's... Let me try something here. Let me make sure this works, first of all. This should still have a fire, but it should be really... Yeah, see? So how do you set the size of a particle? Holy crap, more stuff got on fire. Oh, that's because it's bouncing around is what it's doing. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, so how do you set the scale of an emitter? Because scale did not work. How do you set the scale of a emitter? You set the size of the particle in the particle emitter. Yeah, that's what I had a feeling. But how do we set it at runtime is our issue. Because that's what we kind of care about. Let me grab my fire first of all and move it over to here. And this will be our ground fire. And let's switch that over here to make sure we're using the right one. So that way when you edit the right one. Yeah, how can you change the entire size? Well, the material parameter collection would work for the bushes to make them look like they're on fire. But I'm guessing this one, like, let's see, 60, 90, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Yeah, see, this is only for one of the particles is the problem. This is only the, let's see, this is only our flames. This is our secondary flame effect, smoke effect, ember, spark. So we'd want, okay, you know what? I'm not a particle person. I don't know why I'm not trying to just simply Google. Scaling the particle emitter. Only the particles change. Let's see. Scaling the emitter or scaling it in the blueprint will do the trick. Other times you need to... That doesn't friggin' help. Set actor relative scale 3D. Okay, so I did the world one, so maybe we need to do the relative one. So let's try that. Yeah, so let's try... Yeah, because I did the set world one. So let's try this. Maybe we just used the wrong node was all. Nope, that does not look like it's smaller to me. I mean, we could easily do something like 10, 10, and 10. Whoops. Whoa, okay, crap. That definitely worked. Oh, crap. We're in trouble. Okay, so that worked. So is 0.1 just... Maybe 0.1 wasn't small enough. I guess I probably should have tried the extreme. Whoa, look at that. Because that... Does that look like... Does it actually look smaller? I guess it is, right? Let's go over here and check. Oh, I guess it is smaller. Okay, it is smaller. Okay. So we're going to start it at 0 when it spawns in. Okay, cool. That's what we're going to do. We'll spawn this in at 0. Set the timer by function name. Run a timeline, which I can't see because my cat. There we go. Then we want to grab the... What do we got? The particle effect. And then set relative scale 3D. Like that. We're going to have it go from, let's see, lerp vector. We're going to go from nothing to 1. And we're going to do that over a second. This is setting stuff on fire is way more fun than it should be. 0 to 1. Length 1 second. Add 2 keys. 0 and 0. 1 and 1. Close, flippity flop the flirp, and let's see what happens. That works. It looks a little better, right? Okay, because then we could technically reverse this. So we can go like this, and then we'll go over here, and then we're going to go here. Start this from reverse from end and lerpity lerp, and then kill the component and the actor. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, did that go down like I expected it to? It did not, right? I'm not crazy. Put out the fire. Oh, did I not put up the... Oh, I didn't hook up... Yeah. Someone didn't hook... No, yeah. Put out the fire. Called after 4 seconds. Our timeline should be done. We run our timeline. Reverse from end. It should go from 1 to 0. Oh. Yep. Someone's an idiot. Someone probably should have hooked these up down here at the end instead of the actual event. Yeah, if someone said that too, that's funny. Okay, let's try this again. And then they should go down. And boop. Okay, cool. No, everything works great. I just actually forgot to hook up the... I forgot to tell it to do it once it was done scaling. It was kind of... Yep, we're good. Okay, so technically, if I was smart enough to know how to do the grass effect, let's see, here's our bush, here's our material. Okay, so how could we, let's see, let's do a lerp. And this will be for... We're just going to lerp the base color. And we're going to lerp it between... let's see. This is not burnt. And then... let's try... yeah, this is obviously not going to... be as good of an effect as we want, but I'm just trying to see if we can make something work. Okay, so that gives us a red. So then technically this would give us between 0 and red. I mean, it's gonna look really silly, but wonder if it can at least give us the effect we're looking for. Okay, let me set my lerp back to 0 by default, which is pure green. And then we need to turn let's see, 1 like that. Turn this into a parameter. And this will be burn amount. Defaults to 0. Come on. Okay, cool. So let's close that, close that, close that. Keep the map open. Save it to be safe. Save, please save. Thank you. Actually, cool. We can just steal this. Grab the mesh. Set parameter scalar. Burn amount, and we might as well just steal we can steal our alert number from right there. And in theory, this will work. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, see? And that's red, indicating it's on fire, and then boop, goes away. So if we had an actual fire material, an actual fire effect, which technically if we went into the content examples, we could steal that. But we could just use that with the material. I want to do on the lerp as well on here. I want to do, I want to set the scale of the mesh too. Set, for this as well. Let's see. Okay, looks really weird. Obviously, because we don't have the proper amounts of stuff. But, I mean, it is technically working. It's not that bad on performance, especially since you're using static meshes for everything. Way too many things. And we're not propagating the fire either, so that's kind of an issue. So let's see if we can set up some form of actual silly fire propagation. So what would be the smartest way of doing this? I'm thinking after it is fully propagated, after it's fully lit on fire, we will propagate out to other things. So let me make sure this works. It should say hello. Yeah. Oh, why did we get 2 hellos? Did I set 2 things on fire? Yes, I did. Okay. So is on fire. We're going to set a new variable in here. And let's see. Grass. Oh wait, when this is so how would we do this? Let's see. Sphere cast. Well, we could do the sphere overlap components might work, right? Static mesh component, instant static mesh component. I think this will work, right? This is going to complain about, yeah, we don't have object types. Make array. And are they world static? I don't know. Oh no, let's see what happens here. Let's do a print string. And let's do 200 for our radius, and our position is get world, get actor location. Put that into here, and I'm gonna print out the length. Let's see what happens. Because I literally don't know if this is gonna do anything, but we'll find out. 1, okay. Okay, we definitely got some numbers. But I'm wondering if it's only hitting itself. Or, actually here, if we do 600. Yeah, see, we're only getting 1, and we should be getting more than 1. Because, yeah, we're only going to hit the... we're only going to end up hitting the instant static mesh. We're not going to actually get the individual components, are we? So what if I do the sphere overlap actors? Let's see what happens if we do the actors overlap. Let's see. Position 600. Can I please have 600? Thank you. Oh, actually, I also just realized that the world's static object I may be getting. Oh, I'm an idiot. I bet you I'm getting the ground. Yeah, I bet you I'm getting the ground. Let's see. Where is our content? Yeah, this does not have a component type, does it? No, so I don't think this is gonna work. Yeah, I don't think a sphere overlap is gonna work. We could probably do a sphere trace. Let's see if this works. Multi-sphere trace for. See, the objects aren't gonna work as far as I know. Well, let's try this. Let's see what happens. Gotta add a little bit to make sure it's a sphere overlap trace. And then, let's see. Whoa, holy crap. Well, we got, oh yeah, that's probably all of them, isn't it? Okay, can I not jump out of here? Seriously, do I gotta shoot my way out of here? Yeah, see, we're getting 107 objects, which is way more than we would want. Yeah, well, the problem, I have a feeling the problem was if we do the sphere overlap, for example, it takes in object types, and that's going to be one of our collision channels here. But if we're looking at our instant static meshes right here, they don't have an object type. There's no object type. There's just collision. There's no actual object channel. So I have a feeling we can't get them doing that. That's my guess. And I have a feeling the one thing we were getting was the ground. I didn't want to check because I didn't feel like it. But this is definitely giving us way more things than we want. I mean, because this should not be giving us 100 things for a radius that's, let's see, let's fire right there. Yeah. So that's giving us way more, because there's, well, how many do we have here? I think it's giving us every one is the problem. Well, you know what? Screw it. I can create a new channel, that's correct, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't look like the instant static meshes have a channel is the problem. That's my concern. There is no channel for the instant static meshes. I mean, technically, yeah, and yes, more than likely we would set up a new channel anyways for this stuff because we can't walk through these right now. So I'm kind of less worried about that one. Oops. Actually, let's see what the first item is that we've got here. Yeah, see, we're getting the landscape is our first item. Let's see what our next item is. Instance foliage actor. Okay, so we are getting foliage actors. Okay, so 600 was too much, I guess. Okay, well, okay. It looks like we're good. I guess 600 was too much. It looks like 50 might be an okay radius to do. Oh, background music. Dang it. Man, my headphones. Oh, man. I forgot to charge my headphones this week, so I just realized I had no music playing in my headphones. The music that's playing right now is Sonic Mega Drive soundtrack. Okay. Okay. So what we want to do now is find our... Where's our character? I lost my character. Where'd he go? We basically want to... Oh, it was in the bullet. That's what it was. Okay. This code right here. We hit a component and we basically want to redo this code right here for each component that we hit. This is what we want to do. So let's see what happens. I don't think this is the smartest thing to do, but I don't really care. First of all, let's make sure we hit something. So we'll get rid of this. And if we hit something, then for everything we hit, we're going to cast it to an instance dash mesh component. We need to break this, right? Stop it. Break the results, and then we grab the hit component. There we go. And then hit item goes into there, and hit item goes into there. Okay, I have no idea what's gonna happen. Let's find out. Pew. That worked. Burn. See, that worked. It's not that bad. Yeah, there's lots of... Oh, the fire went out. Let's try this. Let's see how far this one will go. Aw. No, wait. It's going this way. Let's see. Yeah, basically on collision with the sphere, run the same blueprint. Yeah, so we've got... Yeah, there's lots of... Obviously, there's lots of things we should be doing better. Our radius is probably a little bit too small. And we have no actual life and hit points and stuff like that. Because, for example, if... this is what we can refer to this one for. Oh, that's the video. If you'll notice, each thing has different hit points. So this allows you to determine if things are a... this allows you to determine if something is easy to catch on fire. It could have low hit points, or hard to catch on fire, high hit points. And you should actually be applying damage before you set it on fire. So that way, every half a second or every second while it's on fire, it tells everything around it to take some damage. And then eventually, once it takes enough damage, it catches on fire. That's the better way to do this. This is, again, we're just trying to do something. I wanted to do something for this. And I'll tweak this in a second. But I had someone asked a question. No, Daniel. Oh, Daniel was asked. I guess I missed Daniel one from earlier. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Daniel. I now have the widget appearing when I press P, but when I press P a second time, the game only gets paused and the widget doesn't appear. Okay. When you press P, the widget appears. How are you getting rid of the widget? How are you removing the widget from your screen? Because you said when you push P again, the game pauses, but the widget doesn't come back. So how are you getting rid of your widget in the first place after it's been on your screen? That's my first question. I need to know how you're destroying the widget, basically. Yeah. So because if we go to, let's find my playground. Actually, I can't show you the game jam examples. I'd have to switch over to a different branch. You had to remove. Okay, so yeah, I. Okay. Yeah. You had it removing all the widgets, but how were you doing it? Were you clicking like a close button on the pause menu? Were you hitting a key on the keyboard? What were you actually doing to close it? Is my question. And then you had it removing all widgets, but what do you mean by removing all widgets? You just like talk to your player controller and tell it to remove all widgets, or what are we looking at there? Because I can really quickly knock out a simple pause menu in theory here. Well, I probably should have named this too. That didn't help. Which I can't in here. Let's see. Yeah, I'd show you the one I have, but I'd have to switch branches to get it out. Toggling the pause using the P. Okay. Well, the main reason I was asking that is once you have the widget being displayed, the widget should be taking all of your input. But I guess I could be wrong. I mean, there's lots of things here that I've got questions on, basically. But let me go ahead and throw my third-person character and my game mode into our simple pause menu, and we'll just slowly try to work through this. We'll see if we can figure it out. Let's see. Pause character. Pause game mode. And you shouldn't have to worry about any of this stuff. This is just because I have multiple projects in the same project. Pause character. And I want to make sure that we're using the proper ones. Let me get rid of all my excess junk. Home. Thank you. And map, load, window, world settings, some pause, game mode. Let's make sure I have my pause character. Okay, good. That's what I was checking out. Okay. Yeah, feel free. Okay, so let's see. Yep, you've got a screenshot. So let's see what screenshot pops up here, shall we? Yeah. Press P. Okay, press P. If it's not being shown, you create the widget, add to the viewport. Okay, yeah, you're not changing the UI, so that's not an issue. When you let go of P, it's still being shown, so you end up removing it. Okay. Oh, okay. So, your issue with this right here, the first time through, you're going to check and see if the screen is shown. It's not, so you're going to create the widget, add it to the viewport, and say, hey, it's being shown. The next time through, so when you release it, it's going to check and see if it's shown. It is shown. So it's going to go ahead and remove all widgets. But is shown is still checked. So the next time you come through, is screen shown is still true, so it's going to remove all widgets. You're never going to go back through here. You need to set is screen shown to false right here. That's why it's not showing back up. And then like Gillum has mentioned, you should use remove from parent, and you shouldn't necessarily use, well, he can't use remove from parent because he's not saving a reference to it. So that's going to be an issue. There's a couple things missing. If we're going to rewrite that, for example, so let me throw that on my other screen and really quickly rewrite that. So widget blueprint, pause, image, blap, everything, make sure it's everywhere like that. Color and opacity, black, drop it up, but down like that, boom. Go with text, bam. Let's put the text dead in the middle. Let's center it. Size it to content. We'll go pause. Reset our offsets. And there we go. Now we have something we can show that says pause. We'll go to our character. We will do P and find the friggin' P key. There it is. It's in here somewhere. LMNOP. Okay, so we'll basically copy what he has here, which is going to be a branch. And then we have a new variable. So promote to variable. We'll do it. We'll show it your way, and then I'll show it a little bit smarter way. Just because, so you don't have to use a variable. Well, so you don't have to use this variable. So is screen shown? If it is, then we're going to remove all widgets, which is probably not what you want, but not a big deal. Create widget. This will be the pause widget. And then we're going to add that to the viewport. And then we're going to set is screen shown like that. So this is pretty much what you have right there. And if we were to run this, we should be able to hit P. Should be able to hit P. We're going to be hooked up to released. And then, yeah, that should have worked. Yep, it should have worked. Why did that not work? Pressed. Yeah, that did not work. Why did that not work? Why is it not cooperating? Okay. This is my pause menu, right? That looks like a pause menu to me. Is screen shown? Is default? Oh, because it defaulted to true. Okay, so that right there shows the actual issue. Okay, so there's the issue. Yeah, he doesn't necessarily want it set up like this, but that's his issue. So we hit P to pause. We undo pause. It's gone. We hit P again. We can't pause. So that's a problem. So to fix that problem, you want to set is screen shown back to false. This will at least fix your immediate problem. Pause, unpause, pause, unpause. So that's the reason you're having that actual issue. You're never you flipped it once, you need to make sure you flip it again at a different point. Now let's see if we can go through and change a few things in here. So, like was mentioned, you should be using remove from parent, because this will remove, well, it's sensitive. This will remove an individual widget. It'll remove one. The problem is you're going to need a reference to it. So after you create it, we'll create a reference to it. So we'll promote this to a variable, and this will be our pause widget. So pause widget. We'll just hook this up. We'll unhook everything. There we go. We'll hook it up, and I can't see past my cat. Even with my monitor like a foot in the air, when he stretches, I still can't see past him. Okay, so this gives us a pause widget. So this gives us a reference to the one on our screen. So now we can hook up a remove from parent pause widget. And now we're going to get rid of just that one widget. Okay, so now another thing I did here is you don't need this set up. You don't want released set up, because basically you push the button, it'll pause it. You push the button again, it'll run through and unpause it. You probably don't want it set up to pause and release. Just every time you press it, it'll toggle it. Now, the is screen shown is kind of redundant. It's redundant in the fact that if you have this widget on the screen, you're going to have a valid reference to it. If you don't have it on the screen, you're not going to have a valid reference. You're not going to have it created. So we can use that. If we get rid of everything that references the Boolean, and we actually check for the widget itself by seeing if it's valid, so we can even get rid of this. This is a little bit smarter way of doing it. You do a valid note, and you do the is valid. And basically this is going to go, hey, do we have a valid widget? If we do something. If not, do something else. So it's basically kind of like what you had, except now it's actually checking to see if the widget you created is actually valid. So it's using the widget's validity as your Boolean check. And you notice you don't need to set anything. The only thing you will have to do is you need to go ahead and set it back to nothing right here. Because what this does is this makes it null or nothing. So the next time it comes through, it'll be not valid. So when we do this, it's still working. But now we don't have the if results in here. And we have a fairly smooth flow here. Basically, you push the button. Do we have a widget already created? If not, create one, store a reference to it, and add that one to our screen. If we do have one created, let's go ahead and remove that one and store a reference as nothing now. This is probably the simplest way of doing this. Now you're still not pausing the game, and the player can still move, as you may have noticed, because you still have input going to the player. So there's still tons of other bugs in there. If you check out the video I linked, it gives you workarounds, because you have to do things such as either disabling input from the player, or checking to see if maybe the game's already paused, or setting the game to pause, or setting the input mode to the UI, so that way you can then listen for input in the UI. There's tons of other smaller things to get it working better. Let's see, is that node is valid better in terms of optimization, or is it just a smarter way to do it? I would say maybe a little bit of both. It's a sanity check is the way you normally would refer to it. You don't want to this in general right here is always useful if you're doing something. So like on our, when we were doing one earlier about changing characters and the UI, we'd want to make sure we had a valid character before we talk to it. So using the isValid node would basically be, hey, make sure we actually have something valid here before we do something. So these are sanity checks, but they work great for actual validity checks as well. I would say it's a smarter way to do it, simply because you're always going to make sure you're doing something on a valid or invalid object. And it's also a little bit better in terms of optimization, because we're already going to have our variable here, so we can remove it. So we're just simply removing a completely other unnecessary variable. We have no more Boolean check here. Now, because there is technically, you could always do this one as well. There is this valid version, which gives you back a Boolean. But this one's no fun, because then you just end up hooking up to an if, and you end up with the same thing right here. These two nodes just turn into that node. Let's see. And as you said, something is valid when it's referenced. Something's valid when it's valid, I guess is the easiest way of saying it. Here is this code right here. Let's say we ran this code, and I push the P button. My pause widget, and I think my cat just, there we go, shut off the monitor. That was friggin' awesome. Okay, my pause widget by default is none. It is invalid. It's a null value. It is nothing. So right now, it has no reference. It's not stored to anything. It's not pointing to anything. It's not holding anything. It's nothing. It's only once I actually create the widget and store a reference, then that this value here now points to this. It now refers to this. That's why we set it to nothing in this case, so it goes back to being nothing. So pretty much once you actually assign something to it is when it becomes valid. Once you unassign, it becomes invalid. When is a character valid? When a player controller has it? A character is valid if it simply exists. I mean, that's probably the easiest way of doing it. A character, if you've spawned a character, if you've created a character, if a character exists in the world, so for example, if I grabbed my character and dropped him in here, this is a valid character here. Whether something has a reference to it or not is completely different. If I made a variable in my blueprint, and my blueprint was a reference to a character but never was set up, it never pointed to anything, then it's invalid. That's basically what it is. It's your variables, if your variables are valid or not. Do they actually point to something? A character is valid when it's spawned, technically. Even if a controller doesn't control it, it's still a blueprint that was spawned in. I want to make a call response power. The player lets off a sound, then an object in the world makes a sound. It's for navigating like a dark room or something like that. How might I do that? For that question, Ben, are the two things going to know about each other? For example, will your player know which object should be giving it the sound, or will the sound know about the player? I mean, if the player knows, like for example, if you're doing player here and a player here, and this is your player, and he makes a sound, and this one's supposed to respond. Will your player know about the responding unit? If so, then as long as you have a reference, it's not an issue. He might not be here anymore, but maybe he's going to check it out later. But you would just use simple blueprint communication. This guy would know about him, the guy who echoes him, and he would simply say, hey, Mr. Echo Guy, play your sound. And Mr. Echo Guy would play his sound. It's simple blueprint communication. Cliff Tonic, how would I make lights turn on automatically when it becomes a certain time? I technically did something for that. Time of day dispatcher right here. I've done another video about this, and it's somewhere. But if we look here, you'll notice that the time of day will change. So it'll get lighter and darker. And then our lights on the ground will either turn on or off based on the time of the day. So these are our little lights right here. And then when it gets to the appropriate time of the day, the lights turn on. And then when it gets to a different time of the day, the lights will turn off. And we'll wait. And then the lights turned off. And that's just simply using an event I'm pretty sure I set up as an event dispatcher. I guess we're going to find out. Let's see. Yeah, I did it all in the game mode is what I did. Yeah, I did it in two different ways. I did it using an interface, and I did it using an event dispatcher. But basically, here's my light. And these ones we can ignore. And those are the interface. Okay, so here's my light. And an event dispatcher is basically a way for something to listen to something else that something happened. And I use the word something on purpose because it doesn't have to be something specific. In this case, my game mode, it could be a blueprint, it could be whatever. Something in my game keeps track of the time. So in this case, my game mode is going to, I call myself, right? Yep. Every, whatever I've set this to, seconds per hour, 1 second per hour. So every 24 seconds, my time of day will cycle. 1 second in my game is equal to 1 hour in my game. So this goes through and it increments a variable in here called, the current time and all that stuff. And I have a sunset time and a sunrise time. And every second, my time is going to go up by 1 second in this example. And then I check and see, is our current time sunrise or sunset? Have we hit sunrise or sunset? And if you have, then we call the time of change event dispatcher. Or we call the sunrise event dispatcher or the sunset event dispatcher. So what this does is every time time changes, we call the time change event. If it's also sunrise, we call the sunrise event. And if it's sunset, we call the sunset event. Now, what anyone else does with these, this doesn't care. It's an event dispatcher. It's simply literally yelling out to whoever's listening, hey, the time changed. Hey, the sunrise. Hey, the sunset. Now the lights, when the lights start up the game, the lights talk to the game mode and listen for sunrise and sunset. They're binding themselves to the sunrise event and binding itself to the sunset event. So that way when it's sunrise, the lights turn on or turn off. Wait, but reverse, yeah. So the lights turn off at sunrise and the lights turn on at sunset. So the lights are independent of everything else is basically how it's set up. And that's probably the simplest way. You You have some general thing somewhere in your game that keeps track of the time. It is your time manager, it's your world clock, whatever it is. And it continually increments, decrements, does whatever it needs to do. And it has events, so you'd want to look into event dispatchers, and I've got a video on that if you need to. Or you could find this video, which is the time of day game mode. But it creates events and calls that out, and just simply yells. And then the lights listen in for those events and do the things appropriately. That's how you would do something like a time of day system. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't have to apply to lights. You could have a shopkeeper who listens for sunset. And when sunset comes around, he closes up his shop. And anyone can listen in because it's just simply it's an event dispatcher. An event happens, it yells it out, it dispatches it to anyone who listens. Let's see. 8-shot. I've been told that I should never put in code in the level blueprint. I probably told you that. That's just a vestigial part of UE3. I probably am the one you heard that from. If not, then other people have told you the same thing. I wouldn't recommend putting anything in the level blueprint. It's old. It's from Unreal Engine 3 UDK days. The only thing that I know of that has to have the level blueprint right now are Matinee and Sequencer. Events, payloads, things like that have to fire off still in the event in the level blueprint. Other than that, you can just simply make a blueprint, generic actor blueprint, and use that. Let's see. When you create that widget, if you debug that widget, it's only one widget existing, or is it creating a widget each time? I learned collect garbage node recently, and I don't know how to use it correctly. Well, don't use the collect garbage node. That's probably the easiest way of knowing when to use it. It should have it on here. Delete. Well, it should have this mention on here, but it doesn't. Basically, garbage collection is built into the engine as it is already. That is an extra node for if you need to force it. You shouldn't ever need to do that unless you're doing something specific. I would never worry about calling the collect garbage node itself. Let the engine handle garbage collection. If you ever come across the point where you need to collect it yourself, then you might want to look into refactoring your code and stuff like that. Basically, don't call it. It's as simple as that. It'll take care of itself. You can easily check for stuff. Here, let me show that one. Let me close this one down. I'm pissing off my cat right now, which is highly amusing. What was it? Simple pause menu here. So here's our simple pause menu. And what's the easiest way of doing this? Here we go. And we'll hit P for pause. We'll go over here. Here is all the objects inside of our game right now. I've got a pot. Well, let's stop this first. Okay, we'll hit play. Here's all of our pause menus that are created. We have none. We'll go ahead and hit P for pause. We'll go over here and we'll find we have one. We'll go back over here. We'll hit P for pause. And we'll go back over here. And you'll notice we still have one. We still have one resident in memory. If you were to call the garbage collector right now, it would go ahead and it would remove it and it would get rid of it. And we'd be fine. But it's not using up much memory, and the garbage collector itself will run automatically when it's appropriate. And it will get rid of it when the time comes. So, for example, if we were to do pause a couple times and come back into here, you'll notice we have a couple of them. But at a certain time, the garbage collector will grab it when it needs to, and it will get rid of all the extra ones. Now, if you're really worried about that, there's nothing stopping you from not destroying it, but it makes it a little difficult. And you have to think about it. How often is your player honestly going to be sitting there slamming the pause menu continually over and over and over? How often are they going to legitimately be doing that? Is it an actual issue? At some point, it's usually once every 60 seconds, our garbage collector will run. Anything that's abandoned, anything that doesn't have a reference, will go away. I'm 99% sure in 4.16, the upcoming version, they made this even better, made the garbage collector smarter, and it will run more often as needed. But we're talking about, I mean, is this, let's see, I'm guessing, yeah, okay, what am I at? I'm in the playground. Okay, so here's the playground. So we're looking at 1943.1 for memory. And look, you can see right here. Now we're back to just one menu. The garbage collectors ran and gotten rid of everything. So, I mean, we can be in our pause menu here, and I hit pause. I mean, look, I'm slamming my pause button. And our memory isn't exactly doing anything at this point in time. It's still 1943.1. And I've probably got, I don't know, that many of them so far. And our memory didn't really get affected at all. I'll probably go back to 1943 at one point in time. Maybe it's at 1946 now. I don't know. I mean, I've got to have close to 100 pause menus sitting here at this point in time, waiting to be collected. And then it will go ahead and it'll take care of it, like you saw before. It'll eventually, every 60 seconds or so, or as needed, it'll go ahead and clear itself out. I would never recommend running the collect garbage node on yourself unless there's a reason you need to do it. And you'll know if you need to do it. You'll know that you've done something that used a bunch of memory, you cleared out that memory, and then you want to free it up for the game now. See, look, boom, back down to 1. Okay, so Ben was, the actor object would just have to emit a sound when the player presses a button, which also produces a noise. Yeah, you just connect to two different things. We basically did the same thing with our target system, which I can't remember, what was it called? Lock door, open door from targets. It's basically the same thing we did here. If you watched the earlier video, you can see this. If not, you can check it out on the replay. Here's our target. So it does something. So in this case, you could have custom event play sound. And here's our target. It plays a sound. And it would talk to its target. So in this case, mine's called target door. Yours would obviously be whatever you want. And you'd have the target door, play its sound. So play its custom event. And that's all you'd need to do. And you could even, if you want it to be delayed, then it would be put a delay in there of 2 seconds or whatever it is and have the other item play it, or tell it to play it and it delays. Just, you have a reference from one item to the other and you tell the item what to do. It's the basics of blueprint communication. That's all you need. Once you understand the basic blueprint communication, that's all you would need to understand in order to do this. Yeah, there shouldn't really, this video right here was like a prime example of how to do it generically using interfaces. You wouldn't even need to do that. You could just have a target and a sender. Yeah, if you don't understand blueprint communication, check out either the video I have or the video from Zach Parrish on the official Unreal Engine YouTube channel. He did a really good job of visualizing it and explaining all the different methods. But it's not that hard. You take your guy, make sure he knows about the other thingy that makes noise. He'll just simply tell the other thingy to make noise. The other thingy will make noise. Cliff Tonic. I'd like to make my character play a sound when she runs out of ammo. It's literally just play sound. I don't have my first person shooter thingy up here, which is a bummer, but hold on a second. File, new level. So for example, like let's say you're in here and you're firing. If you had an ammo indicator, so we have ammo, for example, and it's an integer, and let's say the ammo starts off at 6. You're firing. You have a custom event in here called fire gun. You're doing whatever you want. At some point in time, if your ammo is less than or equal to 0, then you're out of ammo. Obviously, you're missing the, take ammo away. Screw it, I might as well add it in here. I'm going to do decrement too because it's more fun. So, we have something like this. They fire the gun. We do decrement on the ammo. The ammo itself goes down 1. We check to see if you have less than or equal to 0 ammo. So this means you're basically out of ammo here. And if you are, then you just play sound. And depending on how you want the sound to be, play sound 2D basically means, hey, play a sound. It's usually used for like UI stuff. and you have no control over it. Play sound at location is useful if you need to play a specific spot. Like, for example, the enemy makes a sound, but you trigger it for some reason, then you can do play sound at location. But usually, like, out of ammo is probably going to be like a play sound 2D, and then just pick your out of ammo sound. And that'll simply play out of ammo. That's the easiest way of doing it. And then you could always have other checks in here, like, for example, less than equals 0. You know, obviously you basically build your all your stuff together. There's this is the simple way. You might even set this up where it is on a the weapon itself takes care of all this. So like all we're doing here is firing the gun. If you have no ammo, then we play the out of ammo sound. If you do have ammo, we go ahead and remove one, then check and see again. Well, actually, because then technically you wouldn't want to play this. This is actually in the wrong spot right here, technically, because we technically fired off a bullet. So like in this case, ammo minus, and then, you know, play sound, and this would be your firing one. So you play your fire sound here, like that. I've done some live streams on advancing our first-person template and added in different weapons and things like that. But yeah, so you just play sound 2D is the only thing you care about. Matthew, you can look at my zombies. I doubt I can, but let's find out. I just like its... Oh, can you look at my zombie? I just like its weirdness. What the heck? Okay, that's kind of cool. And we'll throw this on the other screen. Is the zombie like in a box trying to get out? Because I gotta admit, that's pretty cool. Here, this is what James wanted. Shared. It looks like it's a zombie mime trying to get out of a box to me. Oh, that's highly amusing. Let's see. I know you're not touching the MMO, but you're going to do an inventory system. I don't know about that. Actually, there's stuff coming up. I may not be able to do the MMO stuff anymore. Yeah, the hair flipping is definitely weird. Okay, but for the most part, it looks like we're done for the day. Let me go back to the fire propagation system, because we expanded it to 75, right? Yeah. So I think the last thing we did was expand it to 75. It doesn't look horrible. I mean, all things considered, it took us what? Probably an hour worth of actual code? I mean, I've done worse. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely done worse. Okay, let me get rid of that stupid... There we go. Pew, 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 pew. There we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I think we've set it all on fire at this point. Uh-oh, it's coming toward me this time. One tree, one push in the middle of nowhere survived. That is super hilarious. Yeah, could definitely expand upon this, but this is the basics of it. Oh, look, it's still going over here. Oh, I don't know how that happened over there. That's kind of cool. It looks like it's probably going to take them all out, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not going to make it over here, is it? No, that's pretty good. And see, that didn't run too bad. I'm curious. It doesn't help on this machine because of the performance of it, but I'm curious what it ends up getting, how much if there's any performance when we start throwing a bunch of stuff on here. Yeah, see, so we definitely have, if you notice, we've gone from, yeah, see, we've gone from 300 frames now down to 60 and 70 based on how much particle effects we have actually going on. So it's definitely got an issue, but there's no reason you can't. I mean, but even then, you still, things could be adjusted. Okay, that came out pretty cool. Okay, so that's going to finish up the stream for the day. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Thank you guys. The stream will show up on YouTube in a couple hours if you need to rewatch it. If not, it will be on Beam and it will be on Twitch fairly shortly. Epic's next stream, if I would have remembered to not shut down Edge, will be on Thursday. And it is going to be something, obviously, but we need to figure out what something it is. Events, training, live stream. Let's see. So tomorrow. Okay, cool. So tomorrow will be a official 4.16 preview. I have a feeling they're aiming for maybe even next week, if not the week after, for 4.16. So that's going to be highly amusing. So that will be tomorrow's stream. Other than that, my next stream will be on Friday, roughly 10 o'clock. I will probably have some news in regards to what I'll be doing shortly in the future on Friday. But I hope to see anyone who shows up. And other than that, everyone else have a good day. The stream is going to mute for about 30 seconds or so before it disappears.